Our topic is more hugs, kisses, affection, and sex.
I'ma tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burn hot. I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra, with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares.
This is the C-Note Show with my beautiful, amazing, talented, incredible co-host, Miss Cynthia Cruz. Say hi, Cynthia.
As always, thank you for inviting me into this space.
Brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. You can find the show at greatmenmovemountains.com/C-Note, as this is the C-Note Show. And we've been presenting tools this week and how to dance up the staircase of intimacy, whether that be verbal, nonverbal, or actually physical. And we've talked about how to be effective and not just wishing to be easy. I'm going to quickly go through what we've gone through this past week. So if you missed these things, jump back to our shows earlier this week. We want to be Fonzie, right? We don't want to fall into fight or flight. We want to be Fonzie. That includes nonverbal, verbal, and physical. We're going to get some more into some verbal and then definitely some physical today as we've been building. Here's, if you want to screenshot this and pause the video. This will be on YouTube starting in a couple of weeks here, guys. We had some questions about, are you recording these? Yes, we're recording these so we can help other men all around the world. And of course, it grows the brand, obviously, but also helps at the same time, right? This is the free content that we want to give out to help guys that can't afford one-on-one coaching, let's say, or don't have the time or the investment to be in the group forum or be able to purchase, say, a digital product from us, right? We have lots of different levels and ways to help guys, everything from free up to full service, walking you through every step of the way how to be that calm, confident, attractive man that you want to be. And so this week we're fleshing out our content for our free. We're going to have an audio ebook giveaway this Sunday. Steve Horseman with Good Guys to Great Men and Dan Dorr are promoting us, myself as an affiliate coach, and also Cynthia for a special this Sunday. It's going to be 11 a.m. Mountain, and that one's 90 minutes long. And so we're going to present a free audio book, a free audio ebook that Cynthia and I are doing specifically on our tools that we've been presenting today. So you're seeing basically the behind the scenes, the draft, the rough cut as we've been polishing this for our audiobook release that's going to be this Sunday. That's super exciting. So let me get down here and I'll get to some Chevy Chase. All right, we've got the metaphor of learning to play the violin, and you're going to suck at it at first, and she's not going to like it, but don't get blown off the banister. Don't get knocked off the banister, a quote from Kent, meaning when you're trying to dance up and down the staircase of intimacy, you don't want to put yourself way out there and get blown off. We showed this graphic yesterday where this might be emotional connection and this might be literal physical connection and the amount of physical intimacy that you're having. Right? So if you're in a 4 to 6 here and emotionally she's feeling like a 6 to 7, you're not trying to jump to a 9 and get blown back down off this, because she's not going to be happy, right? You're trying to jump too far. You're not that connected. It's too far of a physical jump. So you're going to get knocked down the stairs and knocked over the banister. Depending on another tool we showed, her level of anxiety, her watermark of anxiety. We talked about that a lot yesterday. We're going to get into more specific tools for verbal and physical. Let's get down here. Bottom drawer desires, Cynthia talked about yesterday, how she wants to be seen for her character, her skill, and for her being, for her beingness and who she is underneath. Not just those superficial top drawer desires. And the 3 types of confidence: behavioral, emotional, and spiritual. And then we get into some new content here, which I'll edit as we go along quickly. So Cynthia, that was a mouthful. How would you recap that in a feminine way, let's say? I mean, I'm shooting out. I'm excited. It's Friday. I've got Chevy Chase coming up here in a second. How would you recap the energy and the growth that we've had thus far this week?
It has felt like, there's often this river of uncertainty and unknown when we don't quite understand, how another person works, what to do, how to fix it, how to be in our best self. And I feel like this week has been, here's one stepping stone, and that feels really good to stand and keep our feet above the water in the river. And then there's another stepping stone and another. So it feels like having a path across the river. And that's a really nice experience to have versus standing on one side going, I don't know how I'm going to get from this side to the other.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, we're happy to throw stepping stones down of this knowledge and wisdom that Cynthia and I have learned over private practice over the past 4 years doing this with men, and over a decade in the school system with children and families with emotional disabilities and gang kids and kids with hallucinations and kids that attack teachers. That's who I worked with in the school. I worked with all the most difficult boys and girls in the school, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and have grown practice into what we do now. Absolutely, I love it. I want to jump right into today with Chevy Chase from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Shh, shh. Mom, don't move. Can't let it get out of the living room. Where's Eddie? He usually eats these goddamn things.
Oh, not recently, Clark. He read the squirrels were high in cholesterol.
Thank you, Catherine. I'll try and trap it. Russ!
We're here, Dad.
Oh, there you are. Go get the hammer.
Clark, what do you need a hammer for?
I'm gonna catch it in the coat, smack it with the hammer. I'm going in with him. Nora? Nora?
Is he gone?
Probably got scared and ran back into the tree.
You just march right over there and slug that creep in the face.
I can't just attack someone.
All right then, if you're not man enough to put an end to this shit, then I am.
Ah!
Aside from that being hilarious, there's really fun masculine tropes. It's like, I'm going in and the dad's going with him, right? And then he's scared of the squirrel and knocks his own mother over, okay? And then Elaine, of course, is given whatever the dude's name is a hell of a time. And if you're not man enough, I'm going to go over there. So we've got a lot of fun back and forth tropes going on. Cynthia, I'm going to throw something at you here, right? When you see, for instance, they go back and forth between, okay, we're going in together, and then they scream and run away, the guys do. And then all of a sudden, Elaine is totally emasculating her boyfriend, right? Absolutely just slamming him and kicking him, and might as well just kick him in the balls. She's asking him to do something illegal, go over and punch him in the face, right? So I'm curious what your take is, or what you see when you watch and you talk with men about these tropes in movies and in sitcoms. What do you think about that as a feminine woman and a coach?
Start with the Elaine example. So obviously it's all exaggerated for a laugh. And I know, especially now in sitcoms, a lot of the women characters are saying things like, you need to man up. And if you're not going to, I'm going to be the man. And there's two sides to that. One, yikes, that's really disrespectful. And I know at my core that men and masculine energy is defined by honor and want to be protector, provider. In that particular situation, Elaine was wanting a reaction. She was wanting to feel protected. So there's kind of a complicated ball of what she said came from a real deep, honest desire. And the way she said it was completely, respecting him and not honoring like his truest energy.
Here's my question. How do we as men know where the boundary is? How do we know when to sort of stand up for ourselves and call out bad behavior, and when to stand up or engage her or ask her more about what would be, good, healthy sort of pushing in, or an unconscious push from her to ask us to step up? So how do we as men know where the request and the push all of a sudden, moves over into crossing a boundary, and then we need to sort of call her out or stand up for ourselves in a healthy way, in a calm way?
Yeah, so it's inviting her into a conversation like, hey, I would love to talk about what happened. And, women wish to be understood. I really want to understand what you were feeling in that moment, what you wanted most from me, what was that all about? And then, hearing her feedback and mirroring back what she says. I hear you. And for the health of our relationship, I need a level of respect. I need us to have conversations where we are communicating with each other. And this is for the health of our relationship. And it's not okay to have you say that to me.
So we can say to a woman, it's not okay for you to say that to me?
Yeah. It's because it's not okay. And again, you've asked her to share with her where she was coming from. You value, like, she was wanting to feel protected, and you talk about that. And when you're protecting the relationship space, that's even more important than protecting her and protecting her feelings. You are honoring the space between you and the vision you have for your relationship.
Oh, wow. Right. So there's you, there's her, and there's the relationship. And so you're standing up and protecting the relationship and your positive vision. As a tool we've showed before, as a man, you want to circle to a plan and a positive vision. Right? So you can be vulnerable, and then you want to kick up off the bottom of the pool or the bottom of the ocean and have a plan and a positive vision of where you're going, is also what I'm hearing there. Cynthia, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit. I want you to think, and I'll ask the question, then I'm going to say something about our participants here, so you have a minute to think. Can you think of a time when I called you out in our relationship? For those of you that haven't heard, we're engaged, Cynthia and I are. We started as colleagues 4 years ago, and we started dating, soon thereafter, with I think about 5 months later, and we're engaged now. So we've been going on over 3 years together. So I want to ask you, Cynthia, can you think of a time when I kind of called you out maybe on crossing a boundary?
Yeah, I remember being in the car with you and we were having a discussion, and I was trying to share with you, this happened because I was feeling so overwhelmed and stressed. And I was feeling that so much emotion in that, and then frustration in return. And it was like the emotion was right here, and you were asking me further, like, help me understand. I want to understand. And I got so to the point where it's like, in my mind was going, I don't have the words to say it, and I'm frustrated with myself, and I'm frustrated with Jeff in the moment. And so I said, whatever, because it was my way to be like, I don't know how to talk about this right now, and I feel like I can't communicate well in this moment. And you shared with me, like, that's for you, that's not okay. That's a dismissal, and it's, dismissing the relationship space between us. And so that was really good to hear. And it helped me start to think, gosh, when I start to be overwhelmed and frozen, how can I reach out and engage with you so that I can be in, clear communication with you?
Well, thank you for that. Yeah. And I believe I'm certain that I said later on that it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to not want to talk. That's fine. It was it was like the release and frustration of the whatever. And that's what we spoke about later. Right? So I don't know if men are thinking that's a good example or like, that's just total shit, Jeff. I mean, come on. So raise your hand and give me a different example. I see Patrick, you're raising your hand, and maybe it's the same as your question in the chat here, Patrick. Let me unmute you. Yeah, go for it, Patrick.
Well, there was two things. I just thought to myself, she's disrespecting him and expecting him to honour him. So he's going into defensive mode straight away, and he's not thinking about honouring her. That was the question. But an example from my own circumstance, my wife was going, "Aren't you going to take any responsibility for this mess?" And I was previously been in the mode of defending myself. So previously I would have said, well, I'll take responsibility for this bit. For some reason I turned it round. I said, what did you want me to be responsible for? And it stopped her in her tracks. And then she deflected onto a whole different question. And I just thought, it's a bit like what Cynthia says. She's bound up in emotion, doesn't really know what she wants. When I turned it round and said, well, what do you want me to be responsible for? And she didn't have an answer for that. So she was I was into defending, and I realised at that point, from now on, I'm going to get more into, you explain it better to me. So that's me finished. And you can answer that. Why does she disrespect him? You can answer that one too.
Yeah, sure. Patrick, that's beautiful. So a tool that I've said on the show, and I'll say again in the future, is we want to use sentences and questions that start with what or how. And I also read this in the great book from Chris Voss of Never Split the Difference. Phenomenal book. He's a retired FBI hostage negotiator. Awesome book, Chris Voss. So we want to have questions that are what or how. And Patrick, that's what you did. You stopped arguing, you stopped defending, and you asked her a what question. Okay? Hopefully as calm as you could, hopefully aware of your body and your physiology, your responses and your triggers, right? Yeah, we give a thumbs up. Awesome. So Cynthia, I'd love for you to give feedback on his example of his wife in that moment and how that might relate to Elaine in that bit where she is disrespecting him, but she also wants to be honored by him. You could share with us. I'd love that.
Well, I love Patrick that you then, asked her the question, because there's a lot of grace in that. Didn't seem like it was a deflection. It was more of like you really wanted to understand where she was coming from. And that double-edged sword that Elaine, was existing in, I totally see I want you to, honor and protect me and make me feel safe, but then, cutting him down at the knees at the same time. So I think having conversations with our partners, like this is how I'm experiencing this. I, as a man, want to, protect and honor you. And when you say this, it doesn't feel good for our relationship, and it doesn't work in the vision that I have for our relationship together.
Patrick gave a thumbs up. Do you want to respond to that, Patrick?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, what I'm learning from all your thing is, I've gone real softer in my approach. I've stopped asking why or whatever. Haven't had a lot of communication with her verbally. Haven't seen her for a month or so because of lockdown. She wants to come back and collect stuff, and I'm keen to see what her reaction is going to be in her mode it's going to be, and whether there's an opportunity to exercise some of what you've been talking about and see the response. Because we still talk, most of the time we are civil. Well, the last 3 or 4 months we've been civil. It's as one of my friends said, it's the oddest separation I've ever seen. Sort of thing. He says, I don't quite understand. You're not angry, Patrick, and you're respectful. And he says, some people are going, you need to be more angry, but I'm taking sort of your path a bit.
Yeah. Who's saying you need to be more angry?
Oh, well, some of her friends and things, and a lot of people, it's sort of, don't be a doormat, Pat. And I'm going, well, I'm not being a doormat. she wants that particular thing. Half of what's in the house is hers. It's not. It's an object. It's a material thing. Yes, I might like it or might not, but it's not worth getting into a shit fight about, because all that does is entrench us in two conflicting paths. And my thing is, I've got the kids and the family and the grandkids, and that's important to me. Everything else is material. You know, I can live in a caravan and eat mince for the rest of my life if I have my family.
You'll have really good breath, Patrick. It's going to be, you have no problem meeting another woman because she'll just like smell you from across the room.
Well, it's interesting. Just as an aside, I was talking to one of the friends, and she said to me something about thing, and I said, well, I'm not going out there looking for thing, but I said currently I had one lady after a morning walk want to know whether she could have coffee with me, and she come round here actually and left 2.5 hours later, and that relationship, I'd helped her with something in her life, and she said, you help me, Patrick, I want to help you. And I've got 2 pots of jam from 2 different ladies. I don't know what that is, but it's good on my toast. And there's somebody else that come round to me for out of management, wanted management advice, and she's very stressed and everything. And she said, well, I said, look, you need to walk and talk it out. She said, we'll go to walk along. Well, I've got a river running through my city, and she said, we'll go for a walk along the river with a bottle of wine. It's just nice summer days here, or autumn days, bottle of wine. There's nothing in the bottle of wine in terms of, you know, it's just we'll sit and have a nice drink in the sun and let her talk out her stress. And I sort of said this to this other lady, and she went, 2 pots of
sounds pretty good, yeah.
And so I'm just being, I like your thing about the breath. I'm just being me, you know, and there's no romantic thing. I think if it doesn't work out with my wife, my next relationship will come organically, I call it. I'm not going to go on Tinder or whatever the bloody shit is. It'll come out naturally from just talking with somebody and being me. I'm monopolizing it. I'll shut up now.
I have to jump in, and then Cynthia unmuted herself. Thank you, Patrick. So good. I mean, Andrew in the chat said he's going to kiss you because your minty breath is going to be so fantastic. And now he knows that you have 2 jars of jam. Patrick, driving us crazy. 2. Driving us crazy here from 2 different women. You player, you spinning those plates.
Yeah, it was interesting to find out that you literally met jam, because I was imagining you were like dipping your hands in the 2 pots of jam. So I was like, good for you.
Oh, Patrick, man, he's trying to say something. Go for it. What did you say, Patrick? Go for it.
I said, I wish, what Cynthia is implying.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. And I don't know how many men on here would just love to have a jar of jam with a woman at a park, right? Yeah, Kent's giving you applause. Absolutely. Standing ovation, Patrick. Very nice. Well, actually, so I want to call out, you said, Patrick, I'm being myself. I just want to have a beautiful, calm day out with a bottle of wine and some jam I got from other women. Don't tell her that. And look, I have these 2 organic jars of jam. Showed up at my doorstep. But that's phenomenal. Being yourself, calm. And if you don't mind me saying, and I won't share anything that you don't want me to say, Patrick and I have been speaking for a few minutes after almost every call. Patrick's been a regular here for us out of New Zealand, and I love that. It's early in the morning for him. And I have to say that your calmness and your groundedness, Patrick, and your mindset about this feels night and day than it was 2 weeks ago when we started the show and when we started to chat afterwards. Right? Even a few days ago, you were like, I'm gonna tell her I don't want any shit, right? And like she needs to tell me the truth and blah. And it was all this like, I'm gonna smash mouth, you know? And we talked for a while, and your energy today is so much different, so much more grounded. It's phenomenal, Patrick. So I want to say thank you for sharing your story. I just unmuted you. Do you want to give me any feedback on your energy from then to today now?
Yeah, you're basically correct. My approach is I'm a telecommunications technician manager style of thing. I'm a logical thing. Just give me the truth, no bullshit. Kiwis are like that. They're straight up. they've got a different approach. If I was having an argument with you, I'd call you a right prick and all the rest of it. 2 minutes later, you want a beer. It's the way Kiwis
Can I have a beer
operate.
first? Can I have a beer first? Okay, yeah.
But like the other day when I said to you it was my birthday and she might come round or talk, and if she wants, and I wasn't expecting you present. I was just going to, if you want anything, I was going to say, I just want to know bullshit talk without the lies and the deflections. And I was sort of aggressive, and you went straight away, no, ask her this, which got in the same way, ask her this way, which would get the same result. And so I haven't spoken to her since then to reply your thing, but straight away when you said it, I went, light bulb moment, yeah, turn it back, constantly come from what you guys are saying, listen and try and empathise, don't take it in the moment, don't defend in the moment or whatever, just listen, because tomorrow is going to be a different emotional outburst. And this honouring,
Yep.
this honouring her and all that style of thing, it makes sense. You just constantly honour, and anything else is just going to wind up in a shit fight.
That's exactly right.
Just let this, for analogy, it's going to take months for the storm to subside. And I'm beginning to hear that, like everybody says, she's having a great time where she is and all the rest of it, but now I'm starting to get little bits of feedback. No, she's not. She's not in a happy space. So maybe she's rethinking what she's doing, and she needs that space to sort it out. And I'm now getting more to the point where nothing I can do in an aggressive mode is going to achieve anything. Be patient, be respectful. It might seem like she's walking over me, but in a way she's not, because in a way, surreptitiously, I'm now going to control the narrative a bit more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and add to that. You said quite a bit there. I love it. Of continually honoring her in your mind. You do not need to be walked on, to your point. And if she becomes nasty, that's why I had asked Cynthia earlier, well, if it comes over to being nasty, then that's a time for you to stand up for yourself and say, so here's a great tool for this. Normally you are warm and kind when we have conversations. So you could say normally you are, and then a good thing, a positive thing. Normally you're warm and kind and connecting. Right now it feels like it's getting nasty. So I'd like to take a break, and I'd like to pick this up again later today. And then shut up and pause. I didn't walk away. I didn't bail. Okay. I didn't say, you need to take a break. Like, you're getting angry. You need to take a break. I said, normally you're really calm and connected when we have conversations. It feels like it's getting heated right now. And so I'd like to take a break. There's definitely a next step for that. If she continues, we could have that conversation. It's a different thing. But always honoring her, right? Yeah, Patrick, thumbs up. So always honoring her, like you said, always honoring really anyone. I go to the park in the morning with my son now because we can't go to the gym still. And we were jogging with our dog past what looked like, it was a couple of probably early 20-somethings that probably had slept outside the previous night, right? And so they still, if you will, made eye contact with us. They looked at us as we passed. And I said, hi, good morning. And I raised my hand. And Keaton said, my son, his name is Keaton. He said, yeah, they're maybe not the kind of people that you say hi to. And I said, well, we do have to consider our safety. However, we want to be honorable to everyone, regardless. So it's the same kind of thing. Even though my ex, which you shared in this show, my ex and I split up 5-6 years ago. Even though my ex doesn't have the same level of what I would call integrity or values that I do, I don't agree with a lot of things that she believes as far as co-parenting and how to treat people, let's say. That doesn't mean that I have a right to try to change her or necessarily judge her for that. What I can do, though, is remove myself from her life, remove her from my life. That's what I ultimately did. And that's a whole long other story that we've pieced together over time here. So Patrick, I love it. I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand. And you segued me really well into, we talked about having compassion for her and honor and respect for her and reverence in your nonverbal. And you'll maybe look across the kitchen at her face or her eyebrows or her hair for 5 or 10 seconds and think about some positive things about her, positive times when you first met. And if you can only hold that for 10 seconds, that's great. That's fine. Some verbal, sensual words we talked about the other day and have this week as well. Adventure, closeness, mystery, excitement, wind on my face. Talk about the visceral feeling of adventure and outside and in nature. Those are great ways to have a conversation with her that are emotional and sensual and visceral. And then also the verbal ways that we've just talked about of how to stand up for yourself so that she does learn to respect you. And she must respect you to be attracted. And she must be attracted to be in love with you. Okay? I don't have to be, I don't have to be attracted to someone that I love, like a family member or a friend or a guy friend, obviously. But for your woman to be in love with you, where we're having intimacy and sex and a passionate relationship, she must respect you to be attracted and attracted to be in love with you. And you must respect yourself in order for her to respect you. And the way you respect yourself is knowing your boundaries and knowing your wants in life. So Cynthia, I want to segue into our learning to play the violin metaphor. I'd love for you to share with us about that. And then really quickly go into what are her bottom drawer desires in terms of physicality. Because we haven't gotten down to physicality yet. We've talked about touching her fingertips and holding her hand and holding, the door open for her when you're about to go on a date, or literally setting up candles and things like this. But share with us bottom drawer desires and the metaphor of the violin, because she's probably not going to like what we try right away. It's going to sound like what? So take us away with the violin metaphor and into her bottom drawer desires and physicality.
We're talking about this, how things sound, how things come across. And I do want to say I have recently discovered that the masculine tone of voice and, the pitch down at the end of words and that, calm, even tone, Jeff, feeling that energy from you, it's like I've never felt more honored and listened to, even though the conversations are not so different. So that kind of ties into the violin that, when we are trying something new and we can imagine that little kid like practicing the violin for the first time and it's screeching and it hurts the ears. It's okay as we're learning new skills and we're changing the dynamics in our relationship that there is some screeching and it's not perfect. And that will get better over time. That repetition of practice, you're putting the flow of the river in action, and it will get easier as long as that repetition is happening, as long as that violin is being practiced on a daily or a nightly basis. So when we're talking about playing the violin as well, women have this outer desire to be seen deeply for who she is and to be heard. And to be heard not like a checklist that everything she's pointing to on this checklist is her deepest truth. She wants to be heard for the music that's going on behind her, for the symphony that's going on behind her, and how she's trying to tell you about an insecurity or an overwhelm or something that she's wanting most. And so your gift of going, okay, there's music going on here, and asking about some of those singular notes is an enormous, wonderful thing to offer anyone.
Yeah, the singular notes are where we can get caught up within ourselves, meaning uh, I'm not playing this exactly right. I'm reading hot cross buns off of the, what am I trying to say? The music sheet. And it sounds like shit. And she's like cringing. And this is brand new. And oh God, this isn't working. And she's telling me that, what is this? Where did you read this out of some book? What is this? This is not like you. You just need to stop doing whatever that is. And by the way, guys, that's another test. That's a confidence test or a congruence test. If she can push in and get you to fall off your horse, let's say, she's not going to respect you. If this is something that's important to you, you can acknowledge her. You can talk with her about it. You can ask her to please tell you more about that. Or to Patrick's point, what would you like this to look like? I'm here to absolutely listen. And you must be curious. You can't be well, what do you want then? I can't please you. I mean, definitely we don't want that. We want to be calm and compassionate, but you can ask her, what would you like? What would you like alone time to look like? Would you like date night together or date night alone, like we talked about yesterday? And what would you like date night alone to look like for you? Would you like to go out with your friends and have lunch? Would you like to just have time on your own? No fair working. And Roger says, no fair going to the chiropractor. Roger's, I'll save the inside joke with Roger for another time. I don't know if he wants me to talk more about that. But what would you like that to look like? Here are my ideas for a fun, sexy time later on tonight. What would you like after we get out of the bathtub? Okay, so do you see how I'm leading there? We're going to take a bath together during sexy time. That's what I'm hoping that we do. I'm dancing up the staircase of intimacy here, right? So I'm connecting with her with how questions or what questions. I'm asking her about her, like Cynthia said, bottom drawer desires. And I'm doing something relative to that within the physical staircase of intimacy. Okay, I cannot try to jump past basically a range of where we are. I want to dance in this range, the upper end of the range we're in. And we can't expect to dance physically in physicality above where she feels connected emotionally. Okay. So maybe the bath time is all that you're going for. And afterwards, you'd love to rub some coconut oil on each other, and sex does not need to be on the table. In fact, you want to keep sex off the table. And because if you're not anywhere in that area, she might be afraid. She might be afraid that you're going to try to take it there. So we're combining together the three types of confidence. Behavioral is what to do, the skills that we're teaching you guys here today, and the skills that we teach on our forum, on our website, and our one-on-one coaching. Cynthia and I both do with men and women, but mostly men, right? I'd say it's over 95% men that we work with now. Emotionally, how to stay grounded and stable. You have to understand what your physiological response is going to be to triggers. And spiritually, spiritually is, why do I get up every morning? What's my mission today or in the next 10 minutes or over the next 10 years as a man? What's my journey look like? What do I want my journey to look like? What do I want my adventure to look like in life? And so you must have these three types of confidence: behavioral, emotional, and spiritual, to, quote, have more confidence in life. Just get more confidence. But what does that mean? We're breaking that out for you here. So here's where we're pushing into what we have not talked at all about this week just yet. So more of a reach is asking her scenario questions and then acting on them as basically a surprise, or setting something up with her that you feel she's ready. So let's say a month ago you talked with her verbally and you weren't trying to escalate physically yet about, if we didn't have any kids for a weekend, what would be a dream scenario for you? Where would we go? What kind of wine would you taste? What kind of cheese would you love to just dip into Patrick's jam? Oh my gosh, I would love to dip my cheese in Patrick's jam. It'd be so incredible. 2 different women's jam. Oh my God. Right? So even speaking like that, I just see us sitting beside water on the Colorado River and ordering fresh seafood in Colorado. It's funny. And ordering seafood, surf and turf, and just watching as the lights twinkle off of the water as it passes. That's something Cynthia and I actually did, so I pulled that little story out. But you can envision these things with her and then act upon it in the future. That's something physical you can do with her out in the world, out in space. Sexual words. If you're starting to dance farther up the stairs, hey, is there sex in that mystery novel that you're reading? Or I would love to make love tonight with you. I'd love to make love with you tonight. I want to take you upstairs later. Talk about sex together. So give us an example, Cynthia, of this. So we're talking about a man who's been doing his work. He's done the first step 20 times in different ways of seeing her with positive regard. He's tried verbally 20 times, building of saying sensual words to her in different ways. Maybe this happens over a month's time, and he's not trying to escalate physically at all yet. And now he's to the point where he has a 6 to 7 level of emotional connection, and maybe there's a 4 to 6, whatever that means for you in your relationship, level of physical connection. And he's wanting to dance up to maybe step 7 or step 8. And maybe step 8 is where sex happens. Okay, and maybe step 9 is like oral sex, and maybe step 10 is kink, or something else that she, really needs to be connected to you emotionally and having fun and in the moment and adventurous to do a step 7 or step 10. But often sex is not a 10. Often sex is something around like an 8. Right? So we don't have to be perfect, guys. We don't have to have her we don't have to be James Bond every second to have sex in our life and in our marriage. But we do need to dance up and down the stairs. So Cynthia, please, from there, what can be his expectations, or how should he expect when he says, hey, I'd love to make love with you on Friday night this week? What can he expect?
Well, I love using the word I would love to, because it engages me into your emotional world and your attraction and desire. And all women, no matter if they have a wall up or whatever is going on, want to be desired and are turned on by a man who is his grounded presence is, saying, I desire you. I want to be with you in this way. So that next step, you're on that way of the staircase, I think is really about sharing that I would love to be in bed with you. I would love to touch you. And use some anticipation in that. I think on that part of the staircase, it may not be so much, let's go up to bed right now, but on Friday night, I would love to spend time with you, and let's have dinner together, and then let's go up to the bedroom. So she has that day or that few hours to kind of transition and really move into the feminine space that you are inviting in her.
And so I'm thinking right now, first of all, this isn't how to rush her to sex, guys. Like, that's not a real thing in a relationship. So if you think that a year or 5 years or 10 years of not a lot of physical connection is going to be fixed in a week, like I said, or in 3 chapters, go buy some BS product somewhere, go fall for that trap somewhere else with the dark secrets of how to get her in bed no matter what tonight kind of bullshit, right? This is how you have kids, maybe, a lot of us have kids. You have career that you have to focus on. You have other things going on in your life. You have to consider the holistic view of all this, right? This is how you do this in a real way that is lasting. And by the way, if you don't want this, maybe this is helping you realize what you don't want. Maybe you're realizing that she's gone past a boundary and you need to understand your own values and core within yourself. And maybe you need to stand up for yourself in a healthy way before you even step on the first step of the staircase. Maybe you need to be emotionally connected with yourself before you try these things. But this is how to dance basically from steps, 1, 2, 3, and then where you are now, how to go for sex, right? Because we want to know that. We as men want to know that. How do I escalate to sex? Well, you better be dancing up and down, not just trying to jump up 6 steps and fall back and hit your head. Yeah, that's what I don't want to happen to you. I don't want you to crash your boat on the rocks. I don't want you to break the strings of your violin because mommy didn't pat me on the head and say, good job practicing your shitty violin playing today, Jeff. Right? Like, she doesn't want to be your mommy. She wants to be in love with you. And to be in love with you, she must respect you and be attracted to you. So Cynthia, give me some feedback on, well, it just didn't work. And I'd love to, guys, so put in the group chat, raise your hand. I'd love questions here. We have about 7 or 8 minutes left. I'd love for you to give a scenario and for us to bounce off of you tried some of this, or here's where I am. I'd love a yeah, but. Bring a yeah, but on. Bring it on. So Cynthia, how does that hit you when I even say that you can dance up the stairs without trying to go for sex at all this week or this month? What does that feel like to be a woman where your man wants to grow that connection with you, and he's not even concerned about sex happening tonight?
Oh my gosh. That actually builds attraction to me. I find that a really magnetic energy to have. It feels calm, and it allows me again to be more feminine, as opposed to like, oh wait, but I was supposed to get this work done tonight, and I can't do that, the schedule, the kids, whatever that happens to be. You so wonderfully, Jeff, talked about going up and down the stairs and that you can't jump steps. I do want to say, though, when you as a man are also in touch with your deepest desire, that bottom drawer desire of what you're truly wanting in your life, and it is that incredible place where there's not attachment to the who or the what so much, that is such a powerful force that I can see the stairs becoming like the escalator. Like suddenly you move up so much quicker because your energy is so inviting, it's so clear, it's not needing a hole in your bucket to be filled, and that woman in your life is going to feel that shift in a really big way.
So Cynthia, Jason has asked for you to share more about physical escalation, right? Maybe even non-sexual touch. How do you escalate physically? And I'd love for you to use examples, we're vulnerable here. We're coaches, guys, right? So if you want to share with us, or you want to share about previous men, which we've talked about on the show, and I've talked to Cynthia about, and I've talked with her about previous women, right? In a healthy way, guys, right? So Cynthia, please, what are some examples of physical escalation?
Time. Taking time to explore her body. I went in bed with a man who is interested in touching, my toes, the inside of my ankles, my thighs. It's like I've discovered this whole new sensation that I didn't know was possible. And to be touched in that exploring way from toe to head, with there being patience for time and allowing my body to be warm and awake in that, it feels like being in just this exquisite warm bath. And you want that feeling almost like to go on forever. And that's been some of my most favorite sexual experiences of just that kind of warmth and slow build up of physicality.
Okay, yeah, Jeff. Okay, get her to talk about after that shit. Okay, so that's all good, right? No, I'm just joking, obviously. Obviously, that's super important. I love that time as well. I love the slow stuff as well, right? And then how about grabbing an ankle and pulling you across the bed?
Yes, so it's so much fun in that polarity of energy, that being grabbed, being taken, being ravished. I love when, Jeff, you put like your hands on my hips and really grab on hard. That feels amazing. Even if we're not having sex, even if it was just in foreplay, it makes me feel held, and I can feel like your desire and your power. So soft touch can go to like grab the hips, grab the ankle, you know, holding her head, and really inviting her into a physically surrendered place.
So do women like, it? So this is all escalating, obviously. Don't just jump to the top step guys, right? Do women like their hair pulled? Do they like to be spanked? You know, what kind of women like it more rough? Is it all of them and they don't really want to say? How can a guy know? What can he try that's still safe, right? And respectful and honoring? And of course, it depends, I'm sure, on their relationship and things like this, and the environment and how safe she feels. But talk, you know, do women like their hair pulled? Do they like it more rough? Tell us about that.
I do. I think that there's that feminine core again of wanting to be ravaged and taken. And that can depend on the day or the mood, right? So I would even ask in conversations with your partner what she asks in a curious place. What does she like? Does she enjoy having her hair pulled? Or even in the moment saying, I want to pull your hair right now, and going in that manner. And then if something happens where it's, you pull her hair and she's not into it in that moment, that can be a conversation at another time, and a real curiosity of what she really does enjoy.
Yeah, I'll add that something that I found quite consistent is don't ask too many questions in the bedroom. Okay? Just try, just do, just kind of go for a little hair pulling and see how it goes, and bite her on the neck and see how these things go. You know, you're not going to like fucking try to yank her hair out, obviously, but give it a shot. You'll see from her body language. And then outside of the bedroom is when, hey, I want to bring up something for when we were in the bedroom the other day. I went to pull your hair and this happened. Tell me what your experience was like there. You know, you can always tell me harder or softer. Did you want me to pull it harder? And I personally think it goes very well. It seems to anyway, when you bring those things up outside of the bedroom, because also it's a sexual, fun, escalating, foreplay type conversation outside of the bedroom. And you kind of don't risk being overly clinical or asking too many questions in the bedroom. Generally, women want you to kind of just fucking do your thing. And yeah, care for her, of course, but she wants to see you lead in the bedroom. And if all of a sudden I'm asking like, oh, do you like your hair pulled? And okay, like obviously that's not good, right? Now, I'll give you a little hint. So what I do is I say, I want you to tell me faster or slower, harder or softer. So I give a direction. I say, I'd like you to tell me faster or slower, harder or softer. And then I shut the fuck up and go back to what I was doing. So I just gave her permission to kind of give me like, turn it up or turn it down. But I led and I asked her to do that. And I told her, I asked her to do that for me. Kent asks, does inviting her to break out of her comfort zone make sense? Is it effective? I've invited her to do so. Things like go to a gun range and skiing, things maybe I used to do, or maybe neither of us have done. It makes sense. Absolutely, it makes sense. And so, Ken, these are things that you love to do and you want. So you can preface, I was thinking, I would really love to take you up into the mountains with me. Maybe we go skiing one day and we go hiking the next day. I want to show you this really awesome spot that I've been thinking about. You know, I love skiing. I'm not sure. Does that sound fun to you? Would you love to do that with me? And so it's a bit of a preface of why I'm excited about it. There's me, there's her, and there's the relationship. Why I'm excited about it and why this would be cool for our relationship. And hey, what do you think about that? And by the way, you notice I didn't say just skiing. I said we could ski and hike, and we could go have a glass of wine by the fire out by the ski lodge. And you can wear that like super cute lacy thing underneath that you wore last week. Like wear that under your ski suit. That'd be so cool. And I'm just making this up, guys. I don't even go skiing. Okay, so absolutely, is it effective? I think it is incredibly. If you're thinking though, I'm going to ask her to go skiing so then I can fuck her later, right? No, like that's a covert contract, right? From No More Mr. Nice Guy, Robert Glover. You can't have expectations beyond what you are presenting. You're presenting yourself as this excited man who wants this adventure with her, who wants to bring his beauty along in this adventure, and that's what you're hoping for. Okay. Now, when you get out there and things, are escalating, or you're dancing up the staircase, great, cool, of course. Okay. But yeah, I would absolutely say that it's effective to invite her to go do things. And I think your point here is too, the gun range, skiing, things that are exciting, more adrenaline, more adventure. Is that what you mean, Kent?
That's kind of where I was going with that. And partially too, it's, I'm recognizing also that I've lost touch with what I enjoy. And so it's hard to invite her to do things when I've already kind of, when I've already kind of, eliminated that from my life because she didn't enjoy it or I knew she wouldn't. So I'm trying to reconnect that. And I've always seen her try, maybe even if it was something small, when she tries new things, she gets excited and it gives us something to talk about the next day.
Yeah. So last time we went out and we tried shooting, I saw this big smile on your face, and I don't know, were your nipples hard when you shot that shotgun? Oh, I'm just joking. I wasn't really talking about your nipples. Oh wait, I said nipples again. I mean, this is just the kind of shit that I say, guys. Just pull this out of my ass. So, what did she look like? How would you say, even if you're just trying to grow friendship with her, Kent, right? Because we know a bit of your story. What would you say, like, oh yeah, when we did that thing, I saw this in your face. I saw this in your body. What would you say?
Right. I just saw her letting go, and I saw her, absolute joy in her eyes. I mean, little example, she's never really been around a farm until she met me. And so just being able to bottle feed a calf or, do things like that, she didn't even know, she would enjoy so much. She'd always kind of, showed up to a county fair wearing nice flip flops and a short skirt. I'm like, that's not what we wear around here. And then when she actually understood what it was about and she got to try new things, she found joy. And I think I don't know, maybe I didn't recognize that at the time that she was enjoying that as much as she did, trying new things. But I'm kind of venturing down that path now too.
Super cool. And let me give you a fucking secret of the dark, how to get into the dark. No. So a good hint here, guys, a tool is that you can bring up emotions from the past now, okay, in a positive way. I was thinking, that's the preface, right? I was thinking about something, and you can even put yourself in a place. While I was sitting by the park, watching our children play in the playground, I was remembering when you bottle fed that calf at the state fair. Do you remember that? And you wore those flip flops and they got all nasty in the hay and shit. That was so funny. And just the nurturing, because I was looking at our kids and the nurturing that you did with that calf, I remember back to that. And I really appreciate that about you. So you put yourself in the place when you were thinking about that. Okay. It brings her into the moment. You can use sensual words all within there, like I did. And then you talk about her in a positive way. It was at the state fair. Like, that didn't have anything to do necessarily with your relationship, but guess what you're doing? Guess what you're doing? She's feeling more and more connected to you. She's feeling more and more seen and understood. And you're saying that she's nurturing and how you appreciate that about her. It's a magic sentence. I appreciate you. I appreciate blank about you versus I appreciate it. I appreciate you for this. Yeah.
Jeff, as you were talking, I felt how attractive that is, and what you just modeled of, being in an excited place and really owning as a man, what you're desiring and what you love doing with her. That is a really similar energy for even talking about sex and intimacy. To feel your very grounded excitement and I remember when we did this together. I remember how you looked in that pink negligee. That is also part of that creating that experience together, and feeling your honest joy is a huge attraction point, and is a huge way for her to relax into you.
Ken, can you see yourself, as Cynthia was talking, to share something like the calf example with her right now?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Cool. Cool. Hey, if all else fails, you just go to the Minnesota State Fair and buy her like a deep fried Twinkie or something, and you're fucking good to go, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Love it. Oh my goodness. So our company is Great Men Move Mountains. You can go to greatmenmovemountains.com or that website /cnote or /contact to get a hold of us one-on-one, to ask us a question. And we will get on the phone with you and talk about your situation for no charge. We never charge for the first consult call. We're never going to sell you anything during the first call. I talk business on the second call. I give you homework after the first call. We see if we're a fit. This is just to get to know each other, basically. We hear out your story. I hear your story. We give you presence that you may not have anywhere else in life right now. We're there to be unbiased professionals and understand where you're coming from. So cool. Cynthia, any last words? What did I forget to say at the end, aside from thanking our amazing regulars who are here? Everyone, I don't want to just name everyone, but you guys that have jumped on, asked questions, posted in the chat, raised your hand in the participant section. We love you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Cynthia.
Thank you for the space that you hold. I am in awe of it. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Brought to you by Deep Fried Twinkies and Patrick's Jam. Booyah. Yeah. So post in the forums, our Great Men Move Mountains private forum, with maybe, Jeff and Cynthia, I really would have liked to have seen more of this today. Or if you describe more of this throughout the week. Or, hey, I really loved these one or two parts of the tool. That was really an eye-opening thing for me. Give us some feedback and post comments in the forum or email us directly, guys. Okay, we want to make this as good as possible. And sometimes when you're too close to it, it's hard to know how to give yourself feedback. So give us some feedback. Love you guys. See you in the forum. Sunday's a special show. We will post on the forum the link to that. And we will be back on Monday, every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain. Awesome. Love you guys. Say goodbye, Cynthia.
Bye. Thank you.
I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves.